Hi, my name is Martina Lutz. I am the band director for the Johnson County school system. I teach at 5 elementary schools, middle school and high school. I teach band and I teach choir at one school, but I'm primarily the band director for all Johnson County schools. My grant this year involved MIDI keyboards to help aid in musicianship. So I want to go over what my primary concerns were so that you understand the reason for this. So the problem in our area, especially in eastern Kentucky, is that the kids are living well below what is considered the poverty level, and instruments are incredibly expensive. So a large portion, nearly 80% of my students, do not own an instrument, cannot afford an instrument, and they are actually sharing instruments that belong to the school. This is the back of my car, actually. In order to teach at 5 elementary schools, I stack the back. I had to buy a larger vehicle last year, but I stack as many instruments as I can fit in my trunk. As you can see, this is totally not safe because many times that instrument right there will fly forward and hit my kids when they're in the car seats. Grocery shopping is a problem, but that's the only way that I can successfully have an elementary band program because I do not own enough instruments to leave a set at each school, and the kids cannot afford their own instruments. So my strategy came to mind when I realized that we had got a one-to-one grant with Chromebooks, and every student, at the time it was grades 5 through 12, and I've got some of my administrators, I think it's 4 through 12 now, are one-to-one with Chromebooks. So they want us, they've said many times they want us to use this technology in our classroom, and I'm like, I teach band, all of my technology was like 1800 and before, so I don't do technology. I like clicky thing, yeah. So I was like, how can I implement that? And keyboards. So we implemented activities with the keyboards and the connecting cables is what we asked for that would hook into the keyboards. And my concerning questions were, would more students be involved if I started using technology? Would more students practice at home if there were apps that they could incorporate? Would they have an easier time learning musical concepts by looking at keyboards? Because in my mind, every student should learn keyboard as well as a horn or a stringed instrument, because you can really, most instruments were based off the concept of how keyboarded instruments worked. And my outcomes that I wanted was to improve their reading skills and get more students involved in the program. So I took assessments of how many kids could read music, how many knew their scales and their arpeggios, and then I reevaluated them using scales and arpeggios. And for 7th graders, a lot of them knew no scales at the beginning of this, and even some of my high schoolers. So by the end, they know at least 4 or 5, I would say, by memory. The biggest outcome is kids with the availability to these instruments, and if you can't practice an instrument, you're not going to get better at it. That's with anything. I played sports also, so I always make sports analogies. You're not going to be a great quarterback if you never practice throwing a ball. So we're putting action into place. So the keyboard instruction. We used the kids 7 through 12. I did not involve my elementary schools because I do teach at 5 and I have to travel, and so and they only get band once a week, so taking that time away would be really hard, whereas grades 7 through 12 get band daily. And so what we did is we implemented keyboard Wednesdays. So every Wednesday the kids knew that they brought their keyboard or brought their Chromebook and hooked into a keyboard, and that was the routine. They come into class on Wednesday, they get a keyboard out of the closet, and they set up. We use the app called Piano for Chrome, and what it does is on their Chromebook it actually pulls up a keyboard, and it has notes written on it so they can see, and it highlights as they play. And they're going to show you some of that. Actually, one of you turn your Chromebook around, hold it up so they can kind of see. So that's kind of how it looks. It's got the notes written down, and then it highlights it as they play it. I have a band classroom, so there are no tables and no desks for them to set the keyboards on, so they kind of do the music stand to hold the Chromebook and then keyboards on laps. I'm not one-to-one with keyboards yet because some of my classes have 30 plus students, and with the $1,000 we were able to get 15. So they're usually 2 to 1. So we started really simply. We started talking about the difference between the black and the white keys and how those are enharmonic equivalents. And instead of me explaining that, why don't you guys, who wants to explain what an enharmonic equivalent is? Don't be shy. Katie, you're a senior. Go.
Basically, an enharmonic equivalent is the pretty much notes that sound exactly the same, but they're written differently. So, like, you could have a C flat, but that's really a B natural.
Okay. And for those of you not musically inclined, basically what we're talking about, if you look at patterns on a keyboard, we've got white keys, black keys, okay? And so these black keys actually live in between 2 white keys. So if this white key is an F, this next black key would be higher than an F, so it would be called an F sharp. But it also lives beside of G, so it's lower than G, so it could be a G flat. That's what it is. It's the same pitch, 2 different names depending on where you're coming from musically. And then we learned about the difference in whole steps and half steps. Haley, why don't you tell them what a half step is and what a whole step is?
A half step is the step between 2 white keys, C to D, or a white key to a black key. So B flat to B is a half step. C to D is a half step.
A little simpler term is anytime you go from one note to the very next note, it's a half step. And anytime you go and skip one and move 2 half steps, it makes a whole step. And that is important to learn because when we started learning scales, there is a particular pattern, no matter what key signature you're in, for every single scale, it uses a pattern whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So once the kids learned that pattern, no matter what the starting pitch was, they could figure out by counting, and so we incorporate a lot of math and music too, how to play that scale. And so that's how we started learning. Then we found our home positions. There are patterns on these keyboards, and it's really hard to explain these patterns when you don't have physical keyboards for them to look at. You have sets of 2 and 3, and when you have a set of 2, the note directly before is a C. When you have a set of 3, the note directly before is an F. So I want you kids to go to your keyboards. I want thumbs on C on your right hand and pinkies on C in your left hand. Find your C's, the note directly before a group of 2. Okay, we're going to play for you now a 5-note pattern in the key of C. 1, 2, ready, quarters. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. And right there, I just assessed my entire classroom. Okay, so I was able to do group assessment like that, or I could go around to individual kids, whatever we were working on, and be like, your turn, play for me. Your turn, play for me. So I've got pictures of the students practicing. Apparently my video didn't go on. So I took a survey of the kids, and this was a random survey. I don't know which kids answered it and which kids did not, but prior to receiving, I asked how many of you knew anything about piano. Out of the kids that answered, it says 9% answered yes, 19% answered no, and then it got cut off, but this area is, many of them said they knew a little, and some of them said they knew somewhat. So most of the kids, only 9% of the students said they actually knew a lot about piano. Since receiving the keyboards, I asked them if they had a better understanding of piano, and 19 out of 22 kids said yes. Do you feel piano instruction helped you understand notes better? Out of the kids' survey, 17 out of 22 answered yes. 3 answered some. Only 1 answered very little, and no kids answered no. So every kid found some benefit to this program. Do you feel keyboard helped you understand and learn skills? 14 out of 22 kids said yes, which is about 67%. Only 2 said no, and 23.8% said some. So again, only 2 kids felt that they did not help them learn skills. How do you feel having the keyboards has helped your musicianship? do you feel the keyboards have helped your musicianship? 90.48% said yes, that it has helped. And then almost 10% said some. Nobody answered very little or no. So again, most kids felt that learning to play with pianos has improved their musicianship. And overall, do you feel receiving these keyboards was a positive experience? As you can see, every single child answered yes. In the future, would you like to continue the piano instruction? 20 that answered this question said yes, so 95% said yes. 4.7% said some, so they just want to do it a little bit. And again, 0 children answered very little or no. So the results indicate that all the kids that answered the survey, they all felt that the keyboards were a positive experience and would like to continue learning. Other success indicators, this year, just a couple weeks ago, we went to audition for All District, which district for band is actually like region for basketball. It's that large. And we had 15 middle school students chosen for All District band, which more than doubles the amount I've got in my previous best year. And one of the components to getting in is you have to know 5 scales by memory. So we use these keyboards to help us memorize those scales. Students felt more confident in their 5 memorized scales in the keyboard lessons. So we're not going to take my word for it, so we're going to talk to them a little bit. I have for you some different grade levels. These 2 are 7th grade. This one's 8th grade. I've got 2 freshmen, and then a senior who has actually been accepted into Moorhead's music program so that you can see how those levels have helped them. So introduce yourself.
My name is Lauren Blair. I'm in 7th grade, and I play trumpet. Do you want me to play now?
Kelsey, introduce yourself real quick.
Hello, my name is Kelsey Caudle, and I'm in 7th grade.
And you play?
Clarinet.
My name is Keelan Clark. I'm in 8th grade and I play French horn.
My name is Chance Griffith, and I'm a freshman, and I play alto saxophone.
He just showed you the proper technique for doing a scale, and once you learn the hand pattern, that's also just like the whole half goes for every single scale in whatever key signature you go. 1, 2, 3, cross under the thumb, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then back down and cross over. So that's what you just presented. Haley?
Hello, my name's Haley Elam. I am in 9th grade, and I play clarinet.
students. Now, Katie here is a senior in high school.
My name's Katie Adams, senior, and I play trombone.
Katie's actually going to show you a little bit with chords. Did you want to use your own since yours is loud enough? And you can also see Katie doesn't use her school's Chromebook. She brings her own laptop and it works with them as well. Thank you.